You're using Module 6 of the People-Centered Screening and Assessment online learning modules. This is focused on the home inventory 0 to 3. That's the home observation for measurement of the environment for children ages 0 to 3. The learning objectives for participants in this module include that at the end of this module, home visiting professionals will be able to understand the context and purpose of conducting the home inventory 0 to 3. Identify the correct protocol and some pitfalls to be aware of and avoid, to articulate the value of the inventory for families, to frame the home inventory and process to families effectively, and to use the home inventory with greater intention and effectiveness to strengthen home visiting services and individualize supports to families. In addition to the learning objectives that are designed specifically to meet the needs of direct line staff, there's also content in this module that's focused on the needs of supervisors. At the end of the supervisor section of this module, supervisors will be able to consider tools and strategies to support home visitors in conducting the home inventory as an integrated and effective part of home visiting services. There's a tip sheet available at the end of this module as a PDF that can be printed out and used as a desk reference for both supervisors and frontline staff to support the use of the home inventory. Here are some quick facts about the home inventory. It was developed by Drs. Betty Caldwell and Dr. Bradley in 1978. Dr. Caldwell is a professor of pediatrics and child development and education at the University of Arkansas. She has expertise in early childhood development, integrating health and school readiness programs for low-income preschoolers, affordable, quality daycare, the relationship between early childhood experiences and brain development, and the linkages between children's health and care. Dr. Bradley is a professor at the School of Social and Family Dynamics and the Department of Psychology, College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at Arizona State University. He has expertise in parenting, home environment, socioeconomic and cultural influences on family processes and child development, early education, child care, and the measurement of environments. The home observation for measurement of the environment, or home inventory, has versions that date to 1978, 84, and 2003. And there's been input from other researchers and practitioners throughout the evolution of this tool. It's designed to measure the quality and quantity of stimulation and support available to a child in the home environment. The focus is on the child in the environment rather than socioeconomic status, which is an oversimplified indicator of infant and toddler home environments. This tool can provide home visitors insight about where to focus supports to parents, boosting parental confidence and competence and creating better outcomes for children. This tool does not judge parents or classify homes as good or bad. The intent is to understand the child's opportunities and experiences. In essence, to understand what life is like for the particular child in the child's most intimate surroundings. The Home for Children 0 to 3 is a 45-item observation and structured interview tool, and it's designed to observe parental responsivity, acceptance of the child, organization of the environment, learning materials, parental involvement, and variety within the home environment. There are other versions for other ages. The tools are proprietary and must be purchased. This is why an example of the tool is not available in the online module, and nor are there videos available. Those can be available with training resources at the website below through Arizona State University. So here's some more information about the tool and the subscales of the tool. One subscale is responsivity. And by that we mean the degree to which the caregiver and the environment is responsive in an emotional, physical, or communicative sense to the infant. By paying attention, talking, and responding to the baby's cues, we're able to see responsivity in action. The intent is to identify an environment the child understands to be trustworthy. Some specific items in this subscale include looking for chances where the parent permits the child to engage in messy play. Another example under this subscale is parents responding verbally to a child's vocalizations and verbalizations, or the parent having speech that's distinct, clear, and audible when interacting with the baby or young child. Another subscale in the tool is related to acceptance. Acceptance is about the avoidance of restrictions and punishment, and rather sending the message that children are valued and respected for who they are. The intent is to identify permission for the child to learn through trial and error. Some items in this subscale include that the parent does not shout at a child, that the parent does not express overt annoyance or hostility with the child, and that the parent neither slaps nor spanks the child during the visit. While this isn't all of the items, it gives you a sense of some of the things the home visitor will be looking for when using the home and trying to understand the environment related to acceptance. Another subscale is related to organization. And by organization, we mean that the caregiver or parent provides structure to the infant or young child's life. The intent is to identify positive, predictable structures that are in place in a child's environment that strengthens their sense of safety and trust. Some of the specific items include things such as the child being taken to a grocery store at least once a week, and the child getting out of the house at least 4 times a week, or the child having a special place for their toys and treasures, or their play environment being safe. In addition, there's another subscale which looks very specifically at learning materials. Learning materials are props or objects that allow the infant to develop competence and for enjoyment and exploration. It's okay and actually good during the home observation to consider household items as toys if they're able to be used in that way. The intent is to identify opportunities for the child to learn through play. Some of the specific items under learning materials include muscle activity toys or equipment. Examples might include a crib gym, ball, a rocking horse, a jump seat, a door swing. In addition, push or pull toys like lawnmowers or vacuums or carpet sweepers may be helpful. Other things that home visitors may look for are learning facilitators. Mobile table and chair, a high chair, or a playpen. What we're looking for here are things that allow the child to play safely. Simple hand-eye coordination toys and toys for literature and music are also included in this section, along with several other items. The next subscale in the home is related to involvement. And what we mean by involvement is that the parent clearly demonstrates or tells you spontaneously how they do things with their child. The intent is to identify a learning facilitator in the child's environment. That's someone who helps the child explore their world. Some of the specific items in this subscale include that the parent talks to the child while doing household work, or that the parent consciously encourages developmental advance, or that the parent provides toys that challenge the child to develop new skills. In this way, it's still absolutely acceptable that those toys be things that are normal household items. For example, if pots and pans are available in a safe way at the child's level and they're able to take them out to explore and play, then in this way you'll be seeing that toys are being provided. They may also be homemade toys. The next subscale really focuses on variety. And by variety we mean that there's a whole range of experiences available to the child. And home visitors look for something that may be missing, like a sibling or a parent. The intent in this subscale is to balance and provide a complete experience for a child. Some of the sub-items include that there's a father who provides some care daily, that the parent reads stories to the child at least 3 times a week, or that the family visits relatives or receives visits once a month or so. Not only is the tool itself important to understand, but how the tool is administered is also important to understand. For the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families home visiting programs, the home is completed in the home when a child is 6 and 12 months old, and while the child is present and awake. If a child has an individualized family services plan or there is a suspected disability, please refer to chapters 8 through 11 in the user's manual. This will help home visitors understand how to adapt the home in order to get an accurate idea about what's going on. The inventory itself takes 45 to 90 minutes, and it's focused on routine parent and child interactions. The best results come from families acting as naturally as possible, with no structured activity or intervention provided by the home visitor, just conversation and observation. The authors anticipate that not all of the items will be observed within a 45 to 90 minute window. And as a general guideline, about a third of the items will need to be scored based on open-ended interview questions. Scoring is a simple yes or no. So here are some things to consider that are potential pitfalls. This is not a tool to measure parental effectiveness. So, if the home visitor or colleagues are beginning to have conversations about the results of the home as a measure of parental effectiveness, this is not an appropriate use of the tool. Similarly, if the conversation to explain the tool to parents is explained in this way, it would also be a misuse. This is not a tool to decide if a home is good or bad. So don't score with a plus or minus in front of the parent. And don't interview or ask all or most of the items. Remember, only a third of the items at most should be learned through an interview process. Most of it should be observed. When you've completed the home and you're reviewing the results, it's important to not analyze those results in a vacuum and to consider other completed assessment data and your experiences with the family. A few other things to keep in mind are not administering it when the child is ill or tired, because it can skew the results. Should also not administer it if the child and parent have been apart, because it may take time for them to reestablish rapport. Don't forget to look at the modifications for children with special needs. So, how can the home be useful to families? It can be useful because it can support meaningful conversations with families about their child's experiences in their home and their child's development. Using the home can help home visitors better plan for and incorporate family strengthening activities that are specific to the needs of the family. For example, if the availability of learning material subscale is low during the initial 6-month home inventory, the home visitor and parent can make books and toys, discuss and model how to use the books and toys, and build the parent's feelings of confidence to create a stimulating environment. In doing so, you may see a very different outcome when the home is completed at 12 months. The home is a predictor of success for young children. So if intentional partnerships between families and home visitors can result in higher home scores, that's predictive of school success and better lifelong outcomes for the child. Completing the home inventory 0 to 3 is not only good for families, it can really strengthen the home visitor's experiences as well as a professional, because the home can provide a snapshot of the parent or primary caregivers and infant's time together. It helps the home visitor consider ways to partner with a family to improve the home environment as well as child and family outcomes. By being even more intentional about building on family strengths to bolster areas where greater parental knowledge or capacity would improve the child's environment, child outcomes can be achieved. The home requires the home visitor to keep the developmental and environmental needs of the baby front and center in the home visit. As the baby's home environment is considered through the baby's point of view, home visitor empathy for the baby and the family can be strengthened. The home also systematically builds insight into the baby's experiences, strengthening a home visitor's insights about ways to build empathy and bonding between the parent and infant. For example, if the mother spontaneously hugs, kisses, or snuggles the child at least once during the visit, This insight about how the mom creates a warm emotional environment may provide a future foundation for conversations about child development and other strategies that mom may want to try when teaching the child new things. Introducing or framing the home inventory 0 to 3 for families is important. Bear in mind that families may have prior negative experiences as a parent or from their own childhood about a professional evaluating their home or family. Keep in mind that it wasn't so long ago that in order for a family to receive public benefits, somebody from their community would need to come and evaluate their home and determine whether they were eligible or not. This was often a source of significant stress for families. Using a research-based tool with simple yes or no answers moves beyond a place of judgment and allows home visitors to really pay attention to the relational and physical environment in a more analytical way that looks at it developmentally from the child's point of view. By answering a simple yes or no about items that are in place or not in place, that place of judgment is minimized. In addition, you can minimize discomfort of both the home visitor and the family by having some talking points to introduce the home inventory tool. Remember, the scripts and recommended talking points are not meant to be memorized or to substitute for the judgment and communication style of the home visitor. By all means, be yourself. But if the following talking points provide you with some key phrases or concepts that strengthen what you're already doing, please feel free to use them. So when introducing the home, it's important to be open. Here's an example of what someone might say. Today I'd like to make time to better understand what a typical day is like for you and your child. One of the tools that helps me to accomplish this is the home. What I'd like to do is just hang out and learn about your family by paying attention and asking some questions. And as you're playing and hanging out, I may be taking some notes just to help me remember things that are specific to your family. It's also important to be transparent about why the home is completed. We use the home with all families at 6 months, at 12 months, because routines with children and parents can change a lot during that time. The home helps me to think about ways I can be most supportive and helpful to you and your child during home visits. It's also important to keep families in the driver's seat. Again, it's that idea to emphasize when families have control. Here's an example of a way that you might send that message. When I need to ask a question as I'm hanging out and enjoying you two hanging out together, please know that the most important thing is your time with your baby. So if we need to hold off on the questions while you tend to your baby's needs, I'll circle back later. Keeping reflective strategies in mind can make the screening and assessment process more meaningful in general, but it can be particularly helpful when trying to understand someone else's home. Home visitors may decide to try some of these journal prompts that they could use before doing the home inventory. Here are some questions to consider and possibly journal about. What things about the homes I visit are similar to or different from my own childhood home or homes? How do I feel about the similarities and differences between my own home and the homes that I visit? How do some of the families I work with see a baby-friendly environment? How can I partner with families to support the creation of a baby-friendly environment that also works for the whole family? It's also important to consider what being a parent may do to a home visitor who is also looking at somebody else's parenting. Here are some journal prompts that might be helpful to the home visitor who is a parent. Are there some items on the home inventory that get me thinking about raising my own child? Am I having a positive or negative response to the home inventory when I'm considering it from my own point of view? And what does the item on the inventory have to do with raising happy, healthy kids? And are there other things that I'd consider from my own life and the lives of the families I work with that are also indicators of a happy, healthy life but may not be on the home inventory? Being reflective can also allow home visitors to keep the home in perspective. Some questions that you might consider to maintain that perspective are the following. What other information might a home visitor consider to provide context and balance for the information gathered from the home inventory? How can home visitors meet each family who they complete the home inventory with where they're at and still provide support that's meaningful to that particular family? Home visitors can also consider, what did the family tell me explicitly that might change how I will provide coaching? And what positive interactions did I observe that I can reinforce? This next section really focuses in on how a home visiting supervisor can create an environment that allows the home to be used successfully. One aspect of workplace environment is preparing staff to be successful and making that investment in time. So it's important to anticipate that, like some of the families that home visiting programs serve, staff may have also had a negative experience related to their own life about evaluating home environments. So it's important to encourage reflection. Have staff imagine what the answers would have been if the home was completed in their home when their child was 0 to 3. Support staff in thinking about how the home inventory may impact case planning and home visits. By connecting the home to stronger child outcomes, you can help increase buy-in to the effective use of the home inventory. Another important aspect of creating an environment that supports the effective use of the home is thinking about the very beginning and how home visitors are recruited. The boundary between observing to find opportunities for families to be supported versus evaluating to find fault can be a fuzzy one for new home visitors. So ask questions during the interviewing process that get at skills and experiences in building healthy partnerships that have healthy boundaries. Notice communication styles, attitudes, and beliefs that fall into the expert trap rather than informed and supportive collaborative styles. It's also important, once you've recruited and hired staff, to consider how you orient and train staff on using the home. Administering the home may feel like a place of evaluation and judgment for some home visitors, and this feeling is rightfully uncomfortable. While that's not the intention of the tool, having a checklist of yes or no activities may trigger this discomfort. If we remember that this data is a quality benchmark for the project which measures the effectiveness of home visiting to support families in improving the home environment, home visitors may be more open to understanding that this is a tool to help prioritize ways to improve child experiences in the home life. Each home visitor will need to find his or her own style of completing the inventory. Both formal and informal approaches can work, so long as they're done with acceptance, non-judgment, comfort, and adherence to the protocol. Recognize that administering the home inventory may feel different than using other tools, as it requires both observation and interviewing. So build time into orientation to provide ample opportunity to gain competency. That may include training, reading the home inventory administration manual, time for role-playing and practicing, and time for a home visitor to observe someone on the team who is comfortable and skillful with the inventory as they do the home with a family. In general, supporting a reflective approach can make a big difference in terms of how successfully home visitors use the home inventory. So make time to discuss feelings and reactions to administering the home. Provide prompts to explore with the home visitor what the information from the inventory was unclear and what information was useful. Ask the home visitor to consider how they will be using the information they gathered to partner with the families to make the home environment and parent-child interactions even stronger. In addition to the reflective opportunities that a supervisor has, there's also an administration and quality assurance role. So supervisors can monitor the completion of the home using the home visiting data collection table to make sure that timelines are met. They can also monitor the documentation of screening results in Sphere at least quarterly for newly enrolled families to make sure that the home inventory is in fact being entered, and then they can analyze the data to see if there are any trends in completion rates of the home in terms of timeliness and completeness, and the documentation of follow-up and family outcomes. There are some resources that are available to supervisors that could also be really helpful to frontline staff for people who are curious to learn more about the home and cultural norms. There's a great article available on the United Nations University website. There's also information to help people understand how the home inventory is working with at-risk populations, and that's available through the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Volume 9 that's available at familieschildrenchildcare.org. If you have any additional question about this module or the tip sheets, please feel free to contact Lily via email, LinkedIn, her website, or cell phone.